Prime Minister, you are bringing back Boris Johnson's policy of a £2 cap on bus fares. Is that really going to make a difference to people struggling with their finances?
It was actually my policy originally as Mayor of Greater Manchester, but I worked with Boris to take it national. And it was hugely popular because it's simple, but it saves people money every day. So I think it will really help people with the cost of living pressures they're facing. It's there for the whole of 2027, and I think it will put money in people's pockets.
On the wider spending priorities of your government, you've said you're committed to the fiscal rules, yet you've already said you want to reform social care, you want to build more council houses, you've committed to spending more money on defence. Are you going to be honest with the public that you can't do those things you're promising without either more borrowing or raising taxes?
I will always be honest with the public. It's my style. This week, the three policies I've announced, ending rough sleeping, the bus cap we're announcing today, and the removal of VAT off electricity bills are all fully funded. And that's the way I will go. And people will say, well, how? I've reprioritised. The public's priority is reducing cost of living pressures. And that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a difficult look at some of the things that the government was committed to, digital ID being one example, and reprioritising. And I think that's what people would expect me to do coming into this job. When you talk about council housing, it's about putting greater priority on council housing. The government had already allocated 39 billion to housing over 10 years. My instruction on coming into this job is to spend a greater proportion of that funding on new council housing, because that gives the biggest return on investment than anything else.
But it is going to mean tax rises come the budget, isn't it?
No, we'll take decisions on tax at the budget. This is about reprioritising in this phase. As I say, going to the public's priorities, the cost of living crisis, the housing crisis. How much longer are we going to talk about these things without actually doing something to help people? And already in the space of a few days, I've made a number of moves that will deal with some of these challenges, although I appreciate there's a lot more to do.
You also said on Monday that the complaint you heard most often on the doorstep was about the freezing of the personal tax allowance. So are you going to do something about that or not?
Well, it's funny these days. You can't answer a question honestly without then people reading everything else into it. It was.
But you are Prime Minister.
It was, yes. But I want to answer questions honestly in this job, as I said before. I think that's all about trust in politics and doing politics differently, and I'm determined to keep working in that way. It was raised a lot, but I then went on to say, but we'll have to look at it at the budget alongside everything else. So no commitment, no unfunded promise. You know, it's just perhaps the way politics is these days and the way people report things. But that was an honest answer. There is no commitment at this point to change, but we will look at that at the budget.
Another thing you promised was an end to factionalism. You said that on the steps of Number 10. You then went in to Downing Street and you sacked 11 members of Keir Starmer's cabinet, those who had been most loyal to him. You also promoted those who hastened his end. Do you acknowledge that's created a lot of bad blood?
No, I spoke personally to everybody involved. I explained my decisions to them. Obviously, many people who were serving in Keir's cabinet are still in their positions today. Heidi Alexander, who's done a brilliant job on public transport, Pat McFadden, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary. So obviously there's a need to bring in change to give the government that new direction that I've called for. That's just a reality of politics. It's not about factionalism, and in fact the way I've dealt with it shows that. It is about building a team that reflects all sides of the Labour Party at the highest level, so everybody can see themselves represented within it, and that's what I've constructed.
And Prime Minister, just finally, is it acceptable for members of your cabinet to be joking about the early release of prisoners at a time when people like the mother of PC Harper are desperately worried about the early release of her son's killers?
No, it's not, and certainly that's been acknowledged and apologies have been made. On the broader issue, I feel for the family it's an appalling crime that was committed. The main perpetrator will not be subject to any early release. Of course, others involved have potentially been identified, but I've spoken to the new Justice Secretary. We will review the policy together and make further statements in due course.
Prime Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.